Hello everyone, Ellie Naimel here with Tempra Afri TV. Welcome back to our news update of what is going on in the United States and partially around the world. So we're just going to give you guys some updates of what is happening right now and where we are as an American. And as you guys probably have heard, the border crisis, what is happening in Texas border right now? Things have escalated and continue to rise as we hit our summer now of 2021. So ever since the pandemic, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of some of the numerous cases and a lot of different debates going on between both sides, both liberal and conservative, on their thoughts about the open border. So with the Biden administration, we do have the open border where some of these people that are coming in through the border can seek asylum once they get into the United States. As far as what is going on, as you guys know, Kamala Harris was assigned the duty of the border and hasn't really visited the border yet to see what is going on at the border. And in some of the pictures we're going to display here, you'll see how there's so many people in one place and they are covered up in silver cloth, which is mostly used to control temperatures. And this was a couple months back when we were still in the cold season. And you'll notice some of the people that are crossing over the border from different countries through the Mexico border. And lately in the news recently, in the past couple of days or weeks, there has been some Romanians that are coming all the way from Romania, coming to Mexico as tourists and entering into the United States through the Mexican border. And the way they enter in is through the smugglers, where they get in touch with these people and they sneak them in through the border in some way. So these are some of the updates reports that I want to give you guys today, and how it is being managed by our leading party, president of the United States, the Democratic Party. It is still being uncovered. So there's still a lot of things that needs to be done at the border, and how these people can either be part of the United States citizens or to be sent back into their countries. And there are some people who do not want to risk it because it is a challenge. Imagine a journey all the way from Venezuela or Brazil in other countries that are taking that long journey just to get into the United States border. So due to some of his policies and the instabilities at the border, there has been arrests with mix of sex offenders going on at the border. And some of these are happening as human trafficking, and some of these criminals that are mingling with the people who are trying to find a better life. So these are the real things that are happening right now in the border that a lot of people are not aware of. And this is definitely some of the things that needs to be investigated and look into more by the Democratic Party. So some of these are sex offenders and criminal cases that are currently on the rise. With the Democratic policy is to open the border, as you may have seen in the results of people flooding in at the border. Many that are coming in different walk of life into the United States, many that are coming from across the ocean, and they come into Mexico as tourists. They book a flight, they come as tourists, and then they find an opportunity, if they can, to get into the border. So this is what's happening at the border. Now, going on to the next topic, subtitles. Now, what is happening since the pandemic? It's been over 2 years now, ever since COVID-19 have hit United States. And we've been on lockdown, we've been on different situations. Some of the jobs were lost, and a lot of people has been on unemployment and not currently working right now. And how does that affect us as the economy of the United States? So there is an inflation on the rise. They had calculated and determined what will the inflation be like in the next 12 years in our United States economy. And some of these, goes out with all the stimulus money that we have received, starting from Trump era up to Biden era at this point, with the last stimulus check of $1,400 for individuals. So they are the Congress now are voting on passing another large package into the economy. This is to help with some of the infrastructures and to boost up the economy as much as possible. The unemployment rate, they're still giving out a lot of unemployment, where many people are mostly depending on unemployment rather than going back to work because they feel like they are making more money with the unemployment. So some of the challenges the American people are facing are the prices and the gas price and groceries. So if you guys notice right now, gas is either almost at $3 or over $3. In the West Coast, it's over $3. The average is $3.49. Now, this could be a huge effect on the lower income people where gas can be a challenge every week to fill up your tank in order to make it to work. And in groceries, now just a chicken or a meat, it has doubled since the last since before since the pandemic started. So the percentage it went up is 4%. So they're charging a lot more in what we consume as consumers in the economy. And some of the other things like home goods. So there's a rise on home goods products, things that you may need like buying a new car or things that you need to construct your home or innovation. Those prices have went up since the pandemic. And those are some of the things that now the people are suffering with in trying to cover a lot of those costs. And not only that, with jobs not having a higher pay rate, the Democratic Party did try to battle the 15 minimum wage, but that did not pass through the Congress. And now with people who are making less than $15 an hour, it definitely is a hardship for the economy and for the people as well. A push from the Democratic Party is to push for electric cars, if you guys haven't heard about the electric cars. Now, only 1% of the people in the United States own electric cars. So the whole point with the gas going up and the inflation happening with gas is eventually people start buying electric cars so they don't have to consume a whole lot of gas. But until then, at this point, it's definitely going to be a struggle for people who still drive cars that needs gas and still try to manage it with whatever the minimum income that they have. So that leaves a major struggle on many by paying higher gas price and to manage, and those that are managing to go back to work and look for jobs. So look forward to those electric cars, and they have just released the new BMW. It's supposed to be art and in some sort of way, and who knows who is going to be buying it. Of course, the bigger corporates and those who are thriving through the pandemic and making all the money is where you will see a lot of these changes. So, and as with the $1 trillion that I had mentioned, is still to go through the Congress to be put back into the economy for infrastructures. Like the infrastructure that you guys see every year after winter, rebuilding the road, filling up the potholes, and constructions, building new things, and some of the other things, especially with roads right now at this point. With the unemployment, unemployment, which gives more money to the people staying at home rather than going back to work. So this is one of the biggest strategy that is being implemented right now with the inflation that is being determined in the next upcoming years. So it's definitely one big brilliant strategy by the Democratic Party that they are using to pretty much divide class for future America. The people who will suffer the most are the people who are making less money, the lower income people with these changes that are taking place. So this is something that is definitely to be aware of in the near coming future and to prepare your children for how they can thrive to have better income and a better life in the United States. Now, one of the interesting topics I like to bring up is where is BLM at this point and what are they up to? So one of the latest update is the co-founder of BLM, Patricia Collins, just resigned. She's no longer part of the BLM because of some of the exposed of fraud that has surfaced, and she resigned. So she's no longer a part of the BLM organization. There were, as you guys remember, a lot of the lives that we have lost, included the last one with George Floyd, which went massive and completely changed the world in what happened to George Floyd. $90 million were raised by the BLM organization behind these dead body of black and brown lives. So there was an investigation, and I think they're still investigating because some of the co-owners that are affiliated with Black Lives Matters are wondering what happened to those money. And they need to find out what happened to those money because none of those money went to any of the victims that have lost their life under the police killing. So this is something that is demanded for the co-founders of BLM to be answered. As you guys probably heard in the last few months that they are using the money to invest on real estate, and also Patricia herself, who owns about $3 million homes. So this is another one of the gains from BLM, using the black lives that are suffering or that are victim to enrich themselves from this kind of an issue. It is a brilliant strategy that they have used, unlike George Floyd death. So with George Floyd death, they have raised a lot of money, and many of those money that have been raised behind these black lives is what happened with them. So between $70 to $90 million were raised in the hands of black lives. So, so this has been reported by the creators of BLM that have been investing their money on things that are surfacing. So for that reason, Patricia resigned. So the other two ladies that are behind BLM, we haven't heard yet where they're at with the organization and what is their plan with the Black Lives Matter organization. It has supposedly, as it sounds, Black Lives Matters is to help black community and to also build black community, or even places like school and just the community itself, and try to bring a meaningful lifestyle into the community. And as we hit 1 year anniversary of George Floyd's death, there was recently a shooting in at the George Floyd Square. I believe that's what it's called. There was recently a shooting, a man that was reporting a news there on the anniversary, and two enemies went at it, and they were shooting in a broad daylight. So things like that Black Lives Matter stand for, and they are supposed to represent the community or support the community, is things like that they would try to prevent, as you would think. So these are some of the rising questions that are coming up now as people are starting to wake up on what exactly is the agenda behind the Black Lives Matters, because all the money they have raised did not go to the community nor the victims that have lost their lives. Now, what's going on with COVID? It's been over 2 years now with COVID-19, and here in Minnesota, a lot of restrictions have been completely lifted. And now the bars are open, the clubs are open, so people can go out, plan their parties up until 2 o'clock in the morning. And also weddings and other things that we were used to before. And with many people getting vaccinated, their face mask has been lifted as well. So if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a face mask anywhere you go. But how will they differentiate the people who are vaccinated and that are not vaccinated? So that is still more to look into, and kind of just brings out the curiosity of, is it going to be that 60 to 70% that Fauci has mentioned before in order to have herd immunity? Or are they really planning to vaccinate everyone before the people who are not vaccinated can uplift their mask? So there is an investigation open with COVID-19 of where it is originated. So as you guys remember earlier, as the news break out and some of the reports start coming in that it broke out from the Wuhan wet market. So there are two things they are looking at, because China was claiming that it came from the Wuhan market, from pangolin and the other wildlife animals that were together in one place. Where another claim was a U.S. military traveled to Wuhan and spread the virus, and that's how the virus started in Wuhan and spread out to the rest of the world. So those are the two things that they are looking to investigate. With the Democratic Party looking into it at this moment, we can only watch to see what the results are. And if you guys remember Taiwan, Taiwan was the first country that announced it to the world how contagious this virus is, and that it is transmitted from human to human. So with Taiwan being the first to call out, China went against it and were excluded and was not able to observe at some of the meetings and the investigation with the World Health Organization. And so we're not able to, the people who are investigating are not able to hear from Taiwan, who were the first country to be aware of this virus, to tell the world the truth, because China could not be trusted in the first place. But as far as the United States coming in right now, it is a little too late, because who knows how much evidence has been hidden or destroyed by China, by the CCP. So those are some of the updates going on with the virus. So we're hoping that the investigation go well and that they will find the origin of the virus. But throughout our history and lifetime, we may never know exactly, because of what China is totally capable of. Now, what is happening with the war in Israel? So as you guys heard, Israel right now, it has collapsed and it is falling apart. These are some of the images here that shows what is happening in Israel. It started off with rocket launches that were being launched in the air at night, and it seems like it was just terrorizing the community. With no expectation that it would be this far, to as far as destroying buildings and communities. This is either a war between the Hamas and the Israel, and this is one of the biggest wars that cannot be solved easily, or that could be brought peace easily, because it is a Muslim versus Christianity, or versus the Jews kind of a war. So right now, there's a lot of destructions going on in Israel. There's a lot of fight going on between the people and the Israel, with their strong military that are pretty much out everywhere in the neighborhood, and what has happened to the Palestine. So for a lot of you that may not know too much about Israel isolation, they are divided into two. So there's one side for Palestine, and then there is one side for the Jews. So the two sides has never really come together to work their differences or to bring peace upon. And if you guys remember the peace deal that was signed by Trump to bring peace in Israel, that was one of the greatest historical record moment in Israel, because there was never peace in Israel. And now with the current party that are in the Oval Office, you know, the war broke out. So now we can only see how Joe Biden is going to try to solve that and to reestablish peace in Israel, and what will happen to the civilians. Will the civilians eventually come together and compromise their differences, or is this going to be a continuous war that is only going to get worse? And if it does get worse, this is something that is affecting a lot of people from all over the world, because a religious war is something that is more massive and something that cannot be easily resolved. So that's some of the updates on what is going on in Israel. So that is my news for you guys. That is my update of what is going on in the United States and in the world. As we continue to observe for more updates, we will come up for more next Saturday. So tune in every Saturday for our news update report from Ellie Naimal on what is currently happening and where we are. So let's wake up, America, and have this dialogue and share our differences as well. So Now towards the end of this video, I'd like to give a quick promo. So next Saturday, there will be a concert for one of the largest musicians in West Africa, Techno Miles, who will be coming into Iowa on June 4th. To perform for his concert. So this is definitely a good sign and a good opening to be back into our lifestyle and what we enjoyed the most ever since the pandemic. And the Memorial Day weekend tomorrow, many families are looking forward to it without having to have a full restrictions on face masks, children just being free and having that traditional American holiday with water balloon fights, going to the park, cooking barbecues, and also giving thanks to those that have died for the freedom of this country, those that have sacrificed their life. It is an important historical moment to teach our next generation, our children, what it really means to be a patriot when you love your country and support your country. So happy Memorial Day to all of you that are going to spend time with their family. This is definitely a moment for it. And more to come as we continue to go on in a free pandemic world, or at least end of the pandemic. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
Hot mix mixing.
Nouveau à Minneapolis, Tempo Afrique Travel. Vous voulez voyager? Achetez vos billets d'avion à l'agent de voyage Tempo Afrique Travel. Avec l'agent de voyage Tempo Afrique Travel, pas de problème de connexion, pas de problème de transfert de vol. Avec l'agent de voyage Tempo Afrique Travel, c'est le voyage en toute tranquillité, en toute beauté, de votre maison jusqu'à votre destination. Votre satisfaction est notre plaisir.